Hello, everyone. Excuse me. Hello, with my frog in the throat. I'm just going to pull you guys up here so I can see who's with me. Here we go. Welcome. You guys up here so I can see who's with me. Yeah, welcome to our Wednesday evening together. So excited to be here. As always, let a few people pop on. Say hello as you're coming in. Let me know who's here so I can feel your energy. Like I said, let's picture those lights around the world that are just lit up as we come into the space together. Lindsay, hello. So glad you're here. Oh, I don't know if I've gotten to be on a live with you yet. Where in the world are you, my friend? Would love to feel that energy. Charity, hey Charity, yay! So glad you're here. Just gonna let a few people hop on before we jump in. So tonight's focus is how to harness your pleasure to shift beyond that void energy. I'm gonna speak a little bit into that because we don't wanna bypass that energy of the void, but sometimes we can shift out of it sooner than later. Oh, yay, your first time here. So glad you're here, Lindsay. And you're in Ontario. Yay, you're close. I see so many people hopping on. Say hello. I'm just going to pick a card while we're kind of waiting for others to pop in. My cards have been really something. Starbathing tonight, which I don't know if you guys are in Canada, in Ontario with me. The skies have been amazing actually for starbathing lately. So activating your light body, the crystal, working with the crystal grid, transmission activation. So this is powerful energy to be pulling just before this session tonight. So I'm super excited about that. So if that is calling to you, it's definitely speaking to me because I have already been doing this more lately, partly with the full moon and partly with those wild eclipses. How's everyone feeling with that eclipse energy? It's been interesting hearing how it's been hitting other people. Kind of seems like there's two realms. Either it's in your favor or either it's like feeling it intensely. Okay, so yes, talking about how can we shift beyond that void energy tonight by accessing our pleasure. So I'm glad that you're all here because none of us want to be in that void energy more than or longer than we need to. So welcome to the space. I'm Meg Williams and I'm a sacred pleasure and embodiment coach. And I run these beautiful sessions. I think this is like literally my favorite evening of the week, where I come into this beautiful space in this group, Sacred Sexuality, with the incredible goddesses and sisters that are here. And share, speaking into sacred sexuality under the umbrella of the work of the divine feminine. I love that. Yes, that empty feeling. You are taking the words right out of my mouth. I literally said that to my husband tonight. So this is why I brought this topic in, because I too am here in this space and I'm navigating it. And so this felt really relevant, and this is it, right? This is why we share. This is why we come forward, is because often what we're going through, others are too. And this is literally what I said to my husband. I said, I feel so empty inside. Like, what's going on? So how I really want to open with this is, and this is one of the big pieces that I cover when I'm working with my clients, is looking at the authentic and conditioned self. So the authentic self is that version of you that doesn't feel empty. She feels full. She feels so full and so aligned and joyous and expansive and motivated and inspired and creative. This is your authentic self. And when you're in that energy, you feel in total alignment with like the soul that you came here to be. When you feel like you're really in your dharma, you're really on your path. This is the authentic self. This is what it's a beautiful marker when we're not feeling that, we know sort of where it's like the North Star, where we want to come back to. The conditioned self is that version of ourselves that really likes to thrive on the void energy. And I don't want to talk down the void because it's part of our experience. We want to be there. Ah, yay. Hello, beautiful sister. I'm going to sabotage your name, but Root. I love it. I'm so glad you're here. And so this, I don't want to tear down the void because all of these energies, right? These fluxes, these in and outs that we feel are part of our journey, because wherever we are is exactly where we're meant to be. And so this is the big piece that I'm reminding myself as I go through these flows, is that I'm exactly where I need to be. And we need to come to stillness sometimes. That's like the reset. We come to stillness. We intend to surrender to it so that that next piece has that openness to flow through your being. That's the intention, is to bring in what next piece into your being so that you can then be in alignment. But that's that piece that brings you back into connection with your authentic self. But the conditioned self really likes to have a party about being in the conditioned self. And so it really has a huge party around, like it likes you to think that you need to do it alone, that you need to be alone, and it thrives off of isolation. And so it's like sometimes when we're in that conditioned self, we can really dig ourselves deeper and deeper into that conditioned self, which is just not where we want to go. So this is what this session today is about, is how, especially working with pleasure, because that's all things pleasure here, is how can we use that so that we don't keep going deeper into the conditioned self. And so, like, yes, we can give ourselves time to be there. As one of my best friends says, like, sometimes we just need to sit in the mud, but we don't have to stay there. And so this is it, is how can we use pleasure to begin to make that conscious choice that, okay, it's time to step out of that. Also, the reason that I love working with pleasure is because the womb space, the yoni, the sacred space, your sexuality is where your creative flow is housed within your body. It's birthed through the womb, right? It's through the womb where we create, like where anything that we're going to create in our lives comes from. Literally, the lining of your uterus is the creative blueprint of your identity. So literally within the lining of your uterus is imprinted your genetic blueprint, because the lining of the uterus is embedded with your stem cells and your DNA. I go way deeper into this in one of my modules in the Rose Codes, and how we can actually go through a pleasure practice to embody that fully, and harness the energy of your monthly blood. So yes, when you find yourself stuck in the muck, usually we're there because you're off course. Something is dissonant with your core nature, and essentially you're just feeling it. You're feeling it. So that's beautiful. It's an awareness, and the conditioned self does come in with pure intentions. It comes in because it's usually at a point where you're coming through some up level, some form of expansion, some form of growth. You've had a breakthrough, and the conditioned self is going, whoa, this is new. What's coming next is unknown to me. Or perhaps it's a remembering something that's happened in your past that didn't go so well. And so it wants to come in as this divine protector and pull you back. But this is why we are also here and called together in this space, is we are likely all feeling, let me know if this rings true for you, that you were at a point in your life where now is not the time to play small, that now is the time to step forward into that expansion, that you were literally feeling yourself called forward into that expansion, that now is the time to play big, that now is the time to be loud and clear with your voice. So And again, this is why we're going to go through these 3 things, is so that you can stay on that track, so that you can be big, so that you can be seen. No more shrinking back, no more playing small, no more keeping that voice held in, because you have something incredible that you are here to bring to the world. Yes, let's make the world a better place. Thank you, Charity. I so feel it. And then, so my coach, who is a holistic psychotherapist, she says, if we choose, and I believe this aligns with me, is that we can alter our mood in 15 minutes. If when we go to our practices, so those embodiment pieces, and if we can't shift our mood, so shift from the conditioned self into the authentic self in 15 minutes, that's because there is a block, something that needs to be shifted. And this is exactly what my astral weaving sessions support. It's a holistic practice that I've been trained into, where we can specifically go and look at that block. We trace all the way back to the root. And it's this astral weaving session because you're literally guided into your astral realm with your spiritual team to look at that moment in time. So you're in your astral realm in that moment in time. And it's almost like taking a magnifying glass or like an extra set of eyes and like looking at everything that was going around there to look for those pieces that may have been missed as you were moving through it in that past time. And then there's often a lot that comes through additional perspective and insights from your spiritual team so that you can go through that healing. And then you're also guided to bring through the love and compassion piece and the belief that does align with you, so that you're no longer holding on to that distortion. So it's super, super powerful. But this is what it looks like, right? When that block is there, when there's energetically something in your body, in your cells, in the depth of your being that needs to be shifted, that's deeper work, right? And often we're resisting it. I know I need to go to my mentors for my own sessions to shift that, because I resist it. And sometimes even when I guide myself through my own practice, without that extra set of eyes, without that extra voice of wisdom from my mentors and their spiritual team, I can still miss pieces. So this is the power of sisterhood, and also of allowing support into your field with the right person. So this is where pleasure can come in. And this is it too, right? You don't need anyone. Sometimes the support is absolutely helpful, because it can get us into that space where sometimes we can't, get to the depth of it on my own, but everything you need is within you. So these embodiment pieces around pleasure are so, so powerful, because this is often what we didn't think we could do. We thought we needed someone else. We thought we needed a friend, a partner, a therapist, and yes, we do need all of these things, but we relied on them as the source of healing. You are your own source of healing. And it's acknowledging and building up your embodiment practice. Embodiment practice is your toolkit that you can turn to. And this is how you can shift from that conditioned self into your authentic self. I just wanted to read Lindsay's message here. Been trying the hardest ways to spread the unconditional love I have always had overflowing within. Yes. And this is so much it, right? That is the energy of the divine feminine. How can we bring through this deep, divine, unconditional love that we are here to experience, that has not been present, right? If we take a look at like the 3D world as we've kind of grown up in, and we're looking at this 5D world in which we're really stepping into, where, this multi-dimensional experience, this is where we really get to anchor in that unconditional love, which so many people don't know the divine, beautiful feeling of that. So celebrating all of you who are feeling that call, that is part of your mission, because this is huge. And this is absolutely part of the shift that we're seeing happening in the world right now. Okay, so this is where pleasure comes in. So I'm going to go through basically 3 really easy ways in which you can look at how to harness pleasure to shift out of the muck. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of bringing them in 3 layers, because sometimes it depends too, like how deep are we in the mud? Because this is also, and this is sort of the piece around pleasure, is we all have it. We're all at a different place in where we feel comfortable to access it, right? We are surrounded, just as we are surrounded by abundance, we are surrounded by pleasure. Depending on what frequency we're at, that sort of is the determiner. I can't think of the, it's not coming to me, the determining factor in whether we're going to see the pleasure that we're surrounded by or not. So I really want to start off with, if you're really in the muck and you're just like not feeling it, that empty feeling, that total resistance of, I just want to be a lump and no one's going to make me not be. So a really easy, gentle way to begin inviting pleasure. And the reason that I'm saying this is, when we are at that place with resistance, when we're in that conditioned self, we really, it's the perfect time to do the thing that we're resisting, to do the thing that we don't want to do. So finding a way where you can coax your authentic self to show up in a way that doesn't feel, the word coming through right now is like contrite, that feels still pleasurable, because that's the thing. There needs to be some level of pleasure higher from what you're at to be able to start shifting out, right? It's really like being in the hole and climbing up. It's like your frequency is down here and you're trying to just climb it up. So the very first piece, and like I said, I love it because it's a really easy, gentle way to ease into your pleasure, is realign with the pleasures from your childhood. So really honoring your journey so far. And the way I kind of like to look at it is, it's like realigning with your, like with your spiritual biorhythm. What are those things that you have always loved? So giving a look back into your childhood, into your teens, what was it? Was it something like getting out in nature? Was it even like, what games did you like to play? Playing what? Is there some sort of game that you can come back to? Like maybe you like to play solitaire on your computer or something. Maybe that's going to be something that you're going to gift yourself. Is it writing? Is it journal writing? Is it actual story writing? What are some of the arts and crafts that you loved to do as a child? Bring those back into your life. Or activities like biking. Like, I don't know, there's nothing as freeing as being a kid on a bike. So getting on a bike with that intention, that memory in mind, like being that kid getting onto the bike, or whether it's, a walk in the woods, building something again, like maybe you loved playing with Lego, pull out some Lego. Just allow yourself that pleasurable memory, bringing it into the experience of now. Or maybe it's just sitting and reading. I know that was one for me. Like I keep telling my daughter, who's 8 now, how when I started to get the taste for reading on my own, like I would go ridiculous. Like, what was it? The Sweet Valley High books. And I'd go through like 3 in one afternoon. I would just hide out in my room and read as much as I could. So give yourself that. And I know for me now, also as an adult, these are the things often, right? Those pieces around pleasure that get put on the back burner. And it's like, oh, I would love to read, but I really don't have time. I have this that I have to do. But schedule yourself the time, set your timer for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, for an hour, where you are saying, this is my time to do this. And it's going to buy you more time, right? By giving yourself that space, knowing you're not going to roll over and look at your phone. You're not going to roll over and respond to an email you had to get to. You're not going to pull up your website and work on it, doing, just that little piece that you needed to get done. All of that is paused while you give yourself this time for pleasure. And this is where you bring expansion back into your space. What you think you don't have time for, and this is another thing that I love, what my coach always says, you have time for anything that you desire. And this is how we usually set our time, is the things that we actually want to give time. It's what we give our time to. So this pleasure, it's that choice of saying, this is what I choose to give my time to because I need it. It's a self-care practice. So starting with that. So this is a little journey back down memory lane. What are those things that have always been there throughout your life, and going back to them, because those are your foundational pieces. So it's giving yourself that space to come back to like the foundation of your being. And if you're giving yourself the opportunity to come back to the foundation of your being, you're giving yourself the space to come back to your authentic self. And like I said, right, it's just like a scale. Like maybe you're down here in the bottom of the hole and you're just beginning to bring it back up. And then the second one, so that was the first, is just pleasures from your childhood or from your past. And then the second one is just what would feel good, right? If you're in your conditioned self, like I said, you're resisting everything. You're thinking nothing feels good in this moment. I'm just going to be empty. I'm just going to be a lump on the couch. I'm just not going to do any of the things that I know I need to do. But what would you, because you are going to say, I choose pleasure in this moment, right? You're saying, actually, I know I feel this way, and honor it because that's where you are. And again, even when you have those feelings, they're there for a reason. Something big is getting ready to come through. So if we can surrender to that, that opens your channel to receive it. And just as Charity is saying here, exactly, those manifestations, those ideas, those missing pieces, like those puzzle pieces that we're just waiting for to come and fit everything together. It's when you surrender, when you slow down, when you find pleasure and enjoyment in these things, is exactly when those pieces come through. If we can just surrender the resistance for a moment. So if you take them, when you're in that place, like ask yourself, just in this moment, what would feel good? Not even, and this is like almost that permission piece. It's like kind of like you're sneaking into it. It's like not saying I'm going to do it, but just give yourself the space to go like, if I could have anything right now, what would feel good? Something's going to come through. You know, is it a bath? Is it like a really fancy special dessert that just makes you feel happy? Maybe it's like, maybe there's some anger or frustration that's kind of brewing in amid the whole mix. Like, would some loud, angry music really help to just like stream some of that energy out? Or like loud, bassy music. Bass is really, really good for the root chakra. So get that bass, like, you know, like anchor in your root chakra. Maybe it's booking a massage or a sauna. One of my favorite things is take a look at your local pool. Do they have a hot tub or a sauna that you can access? You can create a really divine retreat for yourself in really easy ways. This is one of my favorite things to do, is like take a look at like the very ordinary things and make them a little bit extra. This is our version of extraordinary, right? Finding those really beautiful pieces among the ordinary. Or perhaps you have a sauna or hot tub at home. Go and hop in that. So what would make you feel special? I know when I first realized like, okay, I'm in the void, and I was feeling that energy and going, wow, there's resistance right now. Interesting. I need to surrender. I need to create the space to feel into this and explore. And I let myself have a bath for 4 nights in a row. Baths are a super huge piece of my self-care practice. I would say I have one a month, but my husband's like, guaranteed you have one a week. But I had 4 in a row, and it felt amazing because it felt like such a treat. And then that other piece was, I have a special dessert. It's the 2-bite brownies, gluten-free 2-bite brownies with a little sprinkle of chocolate, coconut whipped cream, and bananas. And so I made that. What would feel good? Well, you know what? Splurging on a treat would feel good right now, and another bath. And I took that brownie sundae into the bath with me, and it was so amazing. It completely, like in terms of the roller coaster that I was going, that it feels like I'm going through, that night totally brought my energy like a huge bump up. And so that was that piece of like, you know, and I was told it was that I was resisting and what would feel good and just giving myself that pleasure. Okay. And it was amazing. So asking yourself what would feel good, explore. I'd love to hear in the comments, what are some of those things that are your go-tos? Like, what are some of those little pleasures that you love to turn to, that you know are pieces that you turn to when you need a pickup? I'd love to hear, because share. we all want to add more to our toolbox. I walked alone around town in the night. It was not something I'd normally do because of safety reasons. Yes. And how did it feel? It's so funny you say that, because I grew up in a really small town in Ontario, and that feels like out of the first to realign with my identity as a teenager. Because it was a small town, I remember doing that, like just going out and like the smells and the temperatures, like just feeling the different. I remember walking, we were on a river. And so like you'd walk through town and you could feel like the fluctuations in the temperature just from, I guess, whatever comes off of the water. So that feels really delicious. I totally love that. And I would love to hear how you felt after giving yourself that opportunity. And how did it feel? Were you able to release that piece around safety? Like, did it feel like a safe, pleasurable practice? Yeah, freeing. And you got to see the eclipse. Yes. Yeah, I love it. And so it sounds like it kind of, brought you back to that quiet peace. Oh, beautiful. Okay. Thank you everyone for sharing. Okay. And the last one is when you start to feel that energy begin to shift, because you know I have to bring this in, right? Working on sacred sexuality. Oh, you've got more here. Okay, actually, let's keep sharing. Anyone else keep sharing here? Kayaking, cold showers. Oh, you're brave. Yeah. Ooh, I love that piece around the mindset. So, the cold showers, they make you laugh and think you're crazy for going into cold water. I love that piece, how you're really bringing through that mindset shift. And I mean, I know like a lot of the cold water, like the Wim Hof practices are to also stabilize the nervous system. But I love how you're bringing in how it also kind of shifts the mindset, which is necessary. Bubble just came out of my mouth. It was so cute. So it shifts your mindset. And a good sea salt chocolate bar. Yes. And kayaking, I love that. As you're sharing that, it makes me think of one of my past memories was being in a canoe during a very light rain sprinkle. And the sound of the rain hitting the water, it was like little beads of glass tinkling down onto the water. And I'm getting goosebumps. It was phenomenal. So you guys see, and this is the goosebumps. Like, look, even just talking about it, right? When you're in that void space, even just that memory and recalling those pleasure sensations does something to your body. So literally, I'm feeling these goosebumps. I am feeling the shift in frequency in my body right now, just by allowing in my mind, in that astral realm, allowing my body to reconnect with the energy of the time that I was in that canoe. It was so powerful. And then to actually give ourselves the recreation of it in the now. Do you guys see how powerful this is? Right? This is literally how we create shifts. And this is how you also get to be the director of your blockbuster movie, is taking that power. This is your power. You are the creator of your destiny. Okay. Thank you so much. And Tiff, hi babe, how are you doing? What I love about this is the idea of giving ourselves good pleasure as opposed to being in the void and numbing it out, or convincing ourselves that drinking it away or doing other destructive behaviors to break through the feelings. Absolutely. Yeah. And I have to say, I love that you say this too, because how I shared like that dessert. Food is one of my destructive. I've stopped 2 years, 1 month ago, stopped drinking alcohol. I don't drink coffee. What else did I cut out? There's so many things that I've cut out. Don't have dairy, but food is, especially like crunchy things like chips or crackers. As soon as things start, like as soon as I start to get agitated, I go to the cupboard and I want to crunch. And I know the reason I want to do it is, again, that crunch is connected to my root chakra. I'm searching for safety and balance and structure. But I'm going to it through food. So to me, I have to be really aware of that. And so I love how you are highlighting that, right? And it's not about, it's the numbing out piece, right? I have to be aware, and I'll still let myself have them, but it's like, as long as, if I'm taking that cracker, I'm going, I'm agitated. So I'm going to have this, and then I'm going to put the bag away. And what do I have to address? What would feel good right now? How can I shift? You're a cruncher too. I love that. Okay, pleasure activities for you would be reading, walking among the trees, being by powerful water energy. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing. I'm feeling into all of that. Yeah, it's like literally, sometimes we just need to go hug a tree. Like literally just feel your heart connect with the energy of this tree. The crunch. I love that everybody's feeling it. Yeah. Yeah. See, like this is it. And we might not have realized that. And this is it, right? When we open our eyes and when we're open to receiving this awareness and these insights, we see them. It took me a long time to realize what that crunch was, what it was for me. Okay, so the last one in terms of how to begin coming into pleasure. So again, and I was sharing those first two, those are like the gentler way in which we can come into pleasure, because pleasure is such a triggering word for so many people, because it kind of gets distorted and split into two ways, right? It's like, are you talking about sexual pleasure or are you talking about pleasure? They're both the same. They're both the same. Let's bring them back together. Both of them are the same. And we should celebrate that. But because of the negative distortions connected with the sexual pleasure, this is why I'm here. This is why my programs are here, is so that we can begin to figure out, where did that distortion and that distorted belief come from, and how can we shift it so that we can come back into alignment and merge them in as one, and celebrate and feel safe with all of these pleasures. So the third one is loving on yourself. So coming through with that sexual pleasure. Orgasms are a high frequency. This is what I love to say. This is why God gifted us sex. Why God gifted us the orgasm is because the orgasm and sacred sex is one of the most direct ways in which we can connect with spirit, in which we can open our channel to, that you can open your channel to your divine guidance, the guidance that is meant specifically and uniquely for you. So it's through orgasms and sex, and God made sex pleasurable. That's the cherry on top, right? So that we would want to access it. And we just have to work through and begin clearing all of that conditioning and programming that we have laid on top of us. Sorry, just looking at a question. I should read them out loud. Can I ask what to do if we are somewhat the opposite? If maybe the void is from filling every need and even desire, but always alone, therefore shifting the focus to lack. Okay, sorry. If maybe the void is from filling every need. Okay, so clarify this for me. The void is almost the destructive pattern. And just like, let me know if that's correct, because that can be it. I'm pretty sure that's, and I love that you're saying this up, and I'm going to share from my own experience, since this is super relevant to me right now also, is what triggered my void was self-sabotage patterns. Absolutely. Let me know if that rings a bell. So yes, sometimes the void is to fill every need, or it could be the self-sabotage pattern. I entertain myself constantly. I have zero connection to the connection in person with most folks. So therefore I have this void, which feels as lack of ability to share happiness. So looking for that connection. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. There's so much coming in. Yeah. So you're really desiring and looking for that community, for that in-person connection. The thing that's coming through for me right on top of that is, and this is what I always say, is you, and I'm saying, yeah, well, I'm saying this, you are your best lover first, which I usually say woven into the sacred sexuality pieces, but it's also in the self-love sense. So, so being in that place where you are, like, this comes, you are the creator. So I love that, that you have that power to entertain yourself, that you're there. Um, and I would almost like, well, again, what's kind of coming on up on top for that is picking some mantras. Sorry, I'm looking away from the camera because I'm reading the comments, but setting up some mantras, if that community and in-person connection is really what your soul is calling for, setting up those mantras, or in meditation sessions, asking for guidance on, who am I supposed to be connecting with? Is there a community? All those little pieces where your higher guidance can come in to begin steering you in that direction. I'm going to send you a message after because there's too much coming through. But I have so much more to speak to this. So I will connect with you after also. Yeah, setting that intention piece. Yeah, this is big. And I feel like, yeah, stems from my childhood, only child with neglectful single parent. My connections are very deep when they develop, and I am always asking for guidance on where I can serve. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Never too many comments. That's what I love about these, is we get to actually talk. Okay. I love that. Asking for guidance on where you can serve. Yeah. Beautiful. Where you can serve. Yeah. And don't forget where you can be supported is just as important. And maybe that's the piece that right, because we want to be giving and giving, but also receiving. So if your focus has been on where you can be giving, maybe switching the focus to where you can be receiving. Maybe you're doing that also already. You're so welcome. Okay. So the last one on bringing in that pleasure is to love on yourself. So like I was saying, orgasms are high frequency. They open your channel. They're going to connect you with your higher frequency. Again, with your own discernment. I love it. Okay. We'll chat after. I'm so glad that you're here. Okay. So connects you with your higher. So to connect with your higher frequency. Oh, there was a piece there. So orgasms being the high frequency. Oh, what I was going to say is, again, when you're in the void, this is one that is a really hard piece for most people because, again, self-pleasuring may be the last thing that you're feeling like doing, right? I feel freaking empty. It's like, don't want to touch myself if I'm feeling completely empty. But this is again where it's like lean past that resistance. Doing the thing is at that time is likely exactly what you need to be doing. I know, again, and this is the thing too, is like turning to those pleasure pieces that would feel good. And sometimes like trying to, like, don't force. right? We want to find a way where we can invite in the opportunity to love on yourself, but not force, because that's not going to work. So again, with your own discernment, if you can lean past the resistance, loving on yourself, bringing in a self-pleasure practice. So it's like a manual stimulation practice. This is the opportunity. This is number 3, because an orgasm is a high frequency. It also is focused around the lower chakras. So you're working with the root chakra, you're activating the sacral chakra. If you are able to access an orgasm, it could ignite some Kundalini energy, get that energy rising. And if you're lucky, it can move that pleasure sensation beyond the genitals. And this is one of the big foundational pieces with sacred sexuality, because in general, like the stereotypical sex as we've known it is really focused on just the pleasure of the genitals. It is so much more, right? We are here to bring in the energy. We are here to bring in that energetic connection that comes with sacred sex, where it's not just focused on the genitals. So sacred sex, part of that intention of that practice is to move the energy and the sensation beyond the genitals. This is going to support the energetic shift that of the block that you have in your energy body. You may be someone who knows, like you might be able to feel in your body where the block is. So again, if you're able to get that Kundalini energy flowing, you're moving that pleasure sensation beyond the genitals, you might be able to budge that block if it's in the solar plexus, if it's in the heart, etc. It can shift. This again, like this is sacred sex is an energetic, a spiritual tool. Right? That is the point, is that when we are able to fully open our bodies to the experience, we can shift blocks that are stored in our body, energetic blocks that are stored in our body. This is why often people will start crying, laughing hysterically, anger might come up, is because you're shifting old stagnant energy that is finally free. More to talk about that on another time. We cover this. This is what some of the things that we go more in depth in my programs. The other piece is that if you're able to open to an orgasm, this can also open your channel, right? So if your body is able at this point, if you can say yes to the self-pleasuring practice, and if you were able to open to orgasm, you may have been able to surrender enough that your channel is now open to receive those downloads that you're calling in. So, and like I said, this is what's so powerful about a sacred sex practice is when your channel is that open and when you are through your orgasm able to connect with the divine. And again, if you're going like, what? How is my body connecting with the divine? This is all covered more deeply in my programs. So if this is something that's really, really calling you, reach out. We can talk about the rose codes or Sacred Sex 101, the sex ed you never had. And so, which really breaks down how through our body, how through sacred sex, we're accessing the divine spirit or the quantum, whatever you want to call it. But when you open your channel, you are now open to receive downloads from spirit. And what happens is when you are open and when those downloads, when that wisdom is coming through, this is your unique divine guidance for you to walk your path, right? It's just like, show me the path, one step at a time, right? And this is where spirit comes in, and through synchronicities and through divine alignment, you're shown your path. So this is another way in which you can access that and channel that wisdom in, or channel your gifts or channel your creations in, so that you can birth that into the world. That's what you're here for. And that's what's so exciting. If that doesn't elevate your energy right there, right? So this is why we want to lean into the self-pleasure practices, even if we are resisting it. So, but I do want to acknowledge again, like, is it a resistance or is it forcing, right? If you're able to open to it, perfect, but don't force. So again, use your discernment, right? You know, so just tapping in, whether it's just asking tapping in to feel for a sacred yes or a sacred no. The other thing is that when you're in your conditioned self, like I said, it feels like you're frozen. Like right now I'm experiencing like serious writer's block. But when you're in that place, this accessing the sacred orgasms, if you're accessing orgasms, you're also going to be activating your sacred secretions, right? You're getting the sacred juices of your body flowing. This is good because this also symbolizes movement. This also is your body transmitting your sacred codes. Like I said, right? This is your DNA, your genetic blueprint. So when you are accessing those, like opening to these sacred orgasms, opening to your sacred secretions, it's super, super important to listen after. So you're going into the practice with intention, right? The intention is to elevate your frequency. The intention is to align with whatever guidance you need for that next piece. So when you go into an intentional practice, you also have to align with that intention by aligning and honoring it by listening after. And this is that piece, like I was saying, when we're down here and feeling in the muck, it's really hard for us to see the abundance and to see the pleasure that surrounds us. But when we rise up, it's when we get to those, we see what is at that frequency, that lack, right? So if you're in that lack mentality, if you're in that victim mentality, you're only going to see the things that are going to feed that mentality. Whereas when you're feeling pleasure and when you're aligning with the pleasure frequency, you start to see the things that align with that. You see opportunities, you meet people, you see connections, you see all of those little pieces of pleasure. This is one thing, like I could see how at a time in my life, going to the local pool for a hot tub or sauna, I would be like, well, no, it's not private. I don't want to go to a public space. Well, I'm missing out on an opportunity to sit in a hot tub or a sauna, right? Why would I not do that? Like, why would I do that? That's a pleasure experience and like a really good one. So take a look at what you can access. Take a look and see the opportunities and the pleasure and everything that's there for you. So if you're accessing really any of these pleasure practices, give yourself the space to consciously listen after, because that divine guidance is going to be streaming in. Another thing that I like to bring through is just a sort of a communication to spirit is if I am not seeing or hearing something that you're sending my way, please keep communicating with me until I hear it, right? Because don't just send it and I miss it. Keep communicating it until I receive it. So perhaps that's like if we know that we're kind of down here, that we've been in the muck, that we're in that void space, we're climbing. Like our intention is I'm going to climb out. So, but as we're climbing out, right, depending on where our frequency is, if those pieces are coming in they're just a little bit of a higher frequency, we might be missing it. So it's just keep sending it until I receive it. And then if not, right, if with any of these things, if you're still in that void space, you're still feeling like I'm not moving, like I'm really in some thick flipping mud, keep at it. Keep coming back to surrender, right? That's surrender, 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 surrender is the biggest piece here. And I know it. I'm speaking from my own experience because I can feel in my body, like I feel the energy, I can feel the energetic blocks in my body and I can feel they're still there. So it's keep coming back to these practices. I don't stop doing them because then I'm just going to sink. It's going to be like quicksand. I'm just going to sink. So it's keeping at them. Keep at them because like I said, it's almost like a ladder. We're climbing, like we're climbing out of this mud pit. Frequency is down here. We're looking for the shift. So we don't want to just get like up here and then completely ditch ourselves. I'm going to keep doing it to get back to the frequency that I desire to be at. So it's leaning into that pleasure. So these are the 3 practices for me. These are the things that really work. I hope that they bring some insight, some support, something new that you can bring in for yourself so that you can keep leaning into that pleasure and keep elevating that energy. And this is it. Like, we're going to be in the mud. We've got to just sit there sometimes. It's part of the journey. We don't have to stay there. So it's when we make the choice to say, okay, I've given myself the time. These are some of the things where we can kind of come out of that space faster. And it's a climb. It's a climb. So don't just bail on yourself. Yes. And exactly. You can still receive new, even while you're shedding the old. And this is something too, like we have patterns. Yes. Some of these patterns we can heal. Some of them were meant to recondition, but we're also sort of in a continuous spiral. So often we'll do the shedding, we'll do some healing. This is another thing too that has been coming through for me. Actually, this is so relevant. Am I healed? Yes and no, because I am constantly healing. I'm constantly peeling off layers, but there's always more. It's a journey. So I've healed some things, but I kind of like to look at it as it's like I'm healing. I'm continually healing because we learn these lessons, we gain insights, we gain wisdom, and we grow. And then there's the next layer. So things, these patterns, sometimes they're patterns like, yes, that we're meant to cut cords with and let go and shift. But sometimes they're patterns that our next lesson is at a new depth. It's like, this seems really familiar. What is the piece here for me to learn that I have not learned yet? And this is a really beautiful thing to look into when we're in that void energy, right? It's just like, what is the gift for me to walk away from? Like when we shift out of this, out of this period, this temporary period, right? Because it's just temporary. When I shift out, what is the golden nugget, the golden bar that I'm going to walk away with? Because it's there. And that's part of what we're meant to come to see. But again, there's that surrender piece. And then also all these pleasure pieces, right? In terms of reconnecting with your authentic self, reconnecting with the person, with the soul, with the expression of who you are and who you came here to be, right? That's the North Star. That's what you're guiding yourself back to. I absolutely love these sessions with you, beautiful souls. Thank you so much to everyone who's here live. Sending so much love to everyone who's catching this on the replay. I will be back next Wednesday. And hopefully I'm trying out something new, but I told you I've had some resistance. So my action piece has not been as on top of things as I want, but hopefully with a guest. And so, and this is, like I said, something new that I'm desiring to bring into every month. There will be more coming up in the group. So keep your eyes posted because perhaps you are someone who will get to be a part of it. So I'll be back next week. If you ever have any questions, please send me a message. I absolutely love hearing from you. I love connecting from you. And I always hold space for 20-minute visioning sessions. If you want to just talk about what your goals and visions are for yourself, and you're just wanting a little bit of space holding. So if you want to book a 20-minute visioning session, just send me a message and let me know. That's something that is always there to access. And other than that, just stay tuned. I have another 3-day workshop coming up soon. So I'll be sharing and releasing information about that soon. So I'm sending you so much love. I hope that everyone has a beautiful, beautiful day. And I will see you next Wednesday. So take care, everyone. Go savor in your pleasure practices. And I'd love even if you come back into the space, either in this chat or on the page directly, if you share any of the pleasure practices that you implemented that you felt a really powerful shift from. I would love to hear. You're so welcome, Tiff, always. Okay, so I will see everyone. Have a beautiful evening or afternoon, wherever you are. Sending so much love from my heart to all of yours. Take care and talk to you guys soon.